Alright, Shalom. All praises, honor, and glory unto the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders that guard most souls that wrote well. And salutation and blessings to the hopeful elect. I want to hit this super poignant precept in Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, as it pertains to the guidelines of this truth, okay? That it keeps you on the straight and narrow. That it's likened unto confines, which you're a confines. Confines is likened unto you being kept into, it's just like restraints, Salakia, okay? Confines is like some form of restraint. So when they say he was kept in the confines of his cell, okay, he was kept in the confines of his room, like when motherfuckers ground their children, he was grounded and all this. Meaning you have to stay within these parameters, all right? And you're going to be doing that anyway, to an extent, right? It's also likened unto chains, a straight up ball and chain. It's likened unto cuffs, because you're going to be a slave to something, one or the other thing. The two things is the left or the right. A slave to your fucking flesh, which is synonymous with wickedness, or you're going to be a slave to the Heavenly Father, which is synonymous with righteousness. All right? But the latter, which is the confines of the Heavenly Father, being in slavery to the Heavenly Father, is the benefits and that which is profitable that is contained within that is unquantifiable. It's insurmountable, the benefits and profit that gives to a man. All right? And there's no greater of fucking existence. There's no greater existence than that. All right? That's why this truth and this walk, this journey, is the highest thing a man could ever fucking do in the history of mankind, in the fucking planet. All right? But you have to be predestined to that path from straight up, from the foundations of the earth. And then it tells you that reincarnation is not only a biblical concept, which this is one and the same. It's not only biblical, but it's according to reality, because the Bible dictates reality, tells you what's actually going on. It's not just, oh, this is just what some people believe, that something somebody made up. No. This contains all the reality, the realities, this is actually what the deal is, okay? This vast book of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, okay? But in the reincarnation, when your spirit occupies flesh time and time again, you come back in the same lot. Meaning you come back on this path again. Okay? It's the elect, the remnant. Alright? So we're going to go into this as it pertains to the restraints and the constraints of this truth. It says, and we know what this leads to, but even above that, even above the end result, or the finishing product, the rewards and all that, even outside of that, what this does for you in the current. Okay. I mean, it literally translates into you needing nothing, wanting for nothing. Not because you have everything, because you have not, even with nothing. That's what David was talking about in Psalm 23 when he says, Yahweh is my shepherd, I shall not want. That doesn't mean because he has everything. It means because he doesn't want anything, because you don't need anything if you have the Heavenly Father. Okay? It's an idea of to be rather than to do, if you understand what that is. You know, in the world, everyone, they ask and they want to know, what do you do? Oh, so what do you do? Meaning, what career do you have, or what enterprise or endeavors are you involved in? No, but it's in nobody. Nobody is involved with to be. Okay, meaning you're not concerned with all that shit, and you don't need anything. Just like this, for example, some niggas they just chase the bag, and that's one of the main plights. It's probably the main plight of mankind is to acquire shit, whether it's wealth, property, offspring, fucking different material possessions, right? But how are you gonna be if you didn't have any of that? Or say when all of that shit gets taken away from you? Is that gonna destroy you? Or can you deal with that and not be devastated and fucking like your world is fucking crashing down? Okay. Like say right now, if you were teleported to a desert or a fucking an abandoned island, okay, would you would you be straight? Pretty much, okay. And this is what Paul was talking about. It was either Paul or Peter. He said, "Godliness with contentment is great gain." And when you go into contentment, it means not desiring anything, not needing anything, any external circumstances or external objects or possessions, whatever the fuck you call it. Not needing anything external to make you be good within yourself, pretty much, make you be straight. And the only one that can provide that is in the Heavenly Father, basking in the meditation of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Okay? And you might ask how you achieve that. Well, it's all throughout this book. Will you have this? Okay? When you eat this roll and you have this and you meditate on these concepts that are in the scriptures, it makes you full. Like David said, the cup runneth over. Okay? And then, of course, as well to understand the prophecies of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, what he's going to do. That he's going to renew and refresh and rearrange in the affirmative, in the positive, this whole life as you know it. Okay? And usher in his eternal righteous kingdom. Okay, this is one of the main elements of Stoicism as well. Right? Epictetus, he went into it in the Enchiridion, that a motherfucker with all these things, that when you're attached to those things, that when you lose them, you're through. But no, you need to be in the state where you're not, you don't have any ties to those things. So when they're taken, you're good to go. Okay, you're good within yourself, within your disposition. Okay, and this is eventually going to happen to the entire planet, to some extent. Okay, even the elites, imagine when they go from riches to rags, they're gonna be through as a motherfucker. Okay, and everyone is actually gonna get all their shit stripped from them. In this time we're coming in. How the fuck do you think they're gonna fare up? And see, this also, it teaches you everything. But focusing on these constraints, it keeps you in a line, and within these lines, these parameters of righteousness, and it causes you not to make fucking foolish decisions and shit. Okay, so that you have all these different types of mishaps that you, because see, this flesh, it's unbridled. Okay, a bridle is that of a horse that steers it, and when a horse without a bridle is a motherfucking what do they call that? He's like undomesticated type shit. He's all over the fucking place. And when you're unbridled, your flesh can get you into trouble. It can get you harmed, and it will get you potentially killed in one way or another. All right? And we're going to expound on this in Wisdom of Solomon and close it out. Because this can be very, what do they call that? When you go into a study, it could be very comprehensive. That's what the term is. Meaning we can go deep into this, but 2 precepts will explain this. Ecclesiastes 12 and 11, the words of the wise are as goads. Okay? And a goad it's actually going to expound in the NLT. It says, and as nails fastened by the masters of assemblies, which are given from one shepherd. It says the words of the wise are like cattle prods, painful but helpful. Their collected sayings are like a nail-studded stick with which a shepherd drives the sheep. Okay? So it pretty much keeps you in line. And while it might be painful, because it's painful to your flesh. Okay, when you look at this figuratively, and literally too, it's a great similitude, liken it to a sheep. A sheep, when we'll go into the literal similitude of this first, and then we'll go into the figurative. But for example, when you have a fucking sheep and he's going off from the parameters in which that shepherd is driving them. Yes, he's doing what he wants, and he might be able to get down on this part of the pasture and eat of the field and do all this what it so-called wants. But what will happen is that a wolf or another type of predator can kill that motherfucker. Okay, or he could fucking walk off the side of a cliff, that sheep, right? But that goad, even though it pokes you in it and it hurts the flesh literally, it keeps you in line and prevents you from those aforementioned dangers. Okay? And just like this truth and the words, which is synonymous with the words of the wise, these scriptures are the words of the wise. And adhering to them, what it does, while it's not pleasing unto the flesh, because your flesh wants to have that liberty to do wickedness, to do the things that are pleasing to the flesh. It's just like we went into transgression. The crux, not the crux, but the foundation of transgression is what? is pleasing of the flesh. All transgression is really rooted in pleasing the flesh. So although abstaining from the pleasures of the flesh doesn't fucking feel good to the flesh, it ultimately keeps you from destruction. That's what this is talking about. Okay? Figuratively. So let's jump into Sirach 6. I said Wisdom of Solomon. This is actually in Sirach the 6th chapter, Salakia, in verse 20. Let's see, 24. It says, and put thy feet into her fetters, which is wisdom, right? The her. And fetters is like fucking shackles. Okay. It says, and thy neck into her chain. And what did Yahushua said? My yoke, which is like a yoke, is like a neck chain. Okay. And thy neck into her chain, bow down thy shoulder, and bear her, and be not grieved with her bonds. But what did Yahushua? My yoke is easy, and my burden is like a burden is synonymous with something you bear. A burden that you bear, like an animal who's got that yoke and burdens. They call it a fucking beast of burden because you got to carry shit. And while it gives you the analogy of fetters, which I believe, what is that, a metaphor of fetters, chains and bonds. That wisdom is likened into, meaning staying within the confines of the parameters of these scriptures, of this truth, of this path, of these straits. That it will profit you. Okay? It says, come unto her with thy whole heart, and keep her ways with all thy power. Search and seek, and she shall be made known unto you. And when thou hast got hold of her, let her not go, for at the last thou shalt find her rest, and that shall be turned to thy joy. See? Then shall her fetters be a strong defense for thee. See? And her chains a robe of glory. So that's what it's going to translate to ultimately. Alright? And yes, we mentioned the end result of all that. Straight up be part of the governing body of an eternal kingdom. You can't even really compare that to anything. See, you really understand and are able to identify things based off of contrast, and because we can't really perceive that because we don't have anything to compare that to. Something that's fucking eternal, man. It's literally infinite, that never ends. It's hard for the mind to perceive that, but we have somewhat of an inkling of how just out of this world type of prophet that is, right? But even in the current, okay, this gives you true contentment. And it's double fold, because it's fucking two-sided coin, because while to gain that level of contentment, on the other side, it told you the men, David and his mighty men, which is ultimately as well, it's also a similitude of the men of the Lord. It said that they were chafed in their minds, which means to be discontented. We're discontented with the fucking wickedness that goes on, but we're contented of the state of everything, of ourselves and of everything, because the Heavenly Father set it up this way, and He did it for a purpose. The purpose He's revealed to his men through the prophets that it says he's revealed those secrets unto them. So we've peered into the mind of the Mosai and understood the inner workings of his mentality, his basis for his motivation, right? The reasoning why he set it up like this, okay? This experiment, this learning experience, okay? But there's nothing that has more benefit, that's more beneficial than to adopt this these principles, okay? It's staying on this straight line, all right? It's true strength and power, right? With self-restraint, okay? That's true, where true power is rooted in. Like it says, this is just a little side example. He that can rule his spirit can take a city. Okay, this is true power. To be able to do that, and that's why it's all throughout, in a lot of places in the so-called New Testament, abstaining from the lusts of the flesh. Okay, to bridle your lusts. Okay, taking up your cross. To mortify your members. All right, they all are likenings of one thing. Okay, to the temperance that goes into it as well, right? Going into conquering this fucking flesh, right? The propensities to go the fuck off, which is weak. It tells you the flesh is weak, okay? And that's why Apostle Gabar mentions this, and this is a proven statement, proven concept and reality, that this is the hardest thing, this is the hardest path a man can ever walk, okay? The hardest thing that a man could ever fucking do is to conquer this fucking, pretty much, which is our default, okay? But there are men who will be successful in that endeavor.